Negative.
You're listening to the N.W.A, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Yo, it's Righteous Reg. It's a case for the safe, keep a space for the Nubians. Unfiltered, off-kilter, the professor, the godfather. Post-wrestling, the N.W.A, not keep guessing, The views and expressions, you know the rest, it's pod excellence, get the message. Advocates for Nubian wrestling, you're listening to the best again. Black wrestling in the ring we invested in. Nubian kings and queens we invested in. It's for the culture and we reppin' it. It's for the culture and we reppin' it.
And welcome to the N.W.A. Podcast, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates, the program all about getting color in the professional wrestling business. We are back and better than ever, ladies and gentlemen. We have an action-packed, jam-packed show for you guys and girls this month. But before we get to that, let me let you know who we are and what we do. I am the Godfather, Nate Milton, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime, the Mayor Pro Tem of Los Angeles, California, the angry intellectual himself, the chairman of the Crypto.com arena, and of course, Moderna Chris. Y'all give it up for the professor himself, Chris Ely. Can we rock? What's up, Doc?
Man, chilling, just trying to get through this month and looking forward to next month, hopefully. Hopefully this show goes off without a hitch.
Ominous words from the Professor Chris Ely right there. But I'm going to tell you why this show is going to go off without a hitch, Chris, because we got a secret weapon. It's not just you. It's not just me. But we got the youngest in charge. Riding shotgun, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our nephew, the man that's going to bring you all the news that's fit to read. Andrew Thompson, a.k.a. the birthday boy. What's good, nephew?
What's good, man? What's good? What's going on with y'all, man? I'm glad to be here for this episode of the Nubian Wrestling Advocates. Always look forward to chatting with y'all, man. And looking forward to many more episodes to come, man. This is not the live episode that we usually do, but we will be back with that that same type of format. But still, per usual, we still gonna kill it and have a good conversation. So definitely looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So yeah, as Andrew mentioned off the top, like we were originally scheduled to go live, but real life get in the way sometimes, but that's okay. Like we gonna keep it moving, we gonna keep it rolling. We still gonna give y'all our thoughts and opinions on some of the biggest stories of the month. And then, like Andrew said, next month we're gonna be back all the way live. But for now, we're going to keep it moving, do what we do. Andrew Thompson. So I guess, you got a lot of stories that we could talk about this month, brother. But I guess we should probably start where we kind of ended off on the last episode when we were speaking with Brother Brandon Thurston from WrestleNomics. And our show was mainly kind of centered around what was going on with Vince McMahon. And we now have a conclusion to that story and a follow-up. So, if you don't mind, brother, why don't you let the folks know what's going on in the WWE, my brother? Yeah,
this is kind of like a general conversation that we was having, I say over the past day or so, just general conversation about the regime changes and what could come and what this post Vince McMahon product is going to look like. And I'm kind of curious to hear y'all respective thoughts about sort of your general analysis about things that have gone on. Of course, we're seeing the returns of Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux and Dakota Kai and Io Shirai up on the main roster now, and Dexter Lumis is back in WWE now. Hit Row is back in WWE now. The hit makers, AJ Francis, Ashanti The Adonis, and Brianna Brandy, also known as BFAB, led original trio that started at the PC. They back in WWE, which is very cool to see, man. And it seems like a lot of people that really weren't spotlighted or maybe Vince McMahon wasn't keen on have made their returns back to WWE, and it seems like being presented in a much better light under this new regime that Triple H is leading creatively. And it's still real early. I think that there are going to be plenty of times where those sort of accusations in terms of like how they may present it might not be exactly how we envision them. But I mean, I think just for an early start, I think things have been pretty okay so far, and I'm curious to hear y'all analysis of how things have been so far. This new creative presentation as far as WWE goes.
I think for me, and we can flip it over to Chris here in a second, but for me, Andrew, I think it's gotten better. Granted, like you said, we're still in kind of the early stages of this new regime of the.
Been like 4 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah. It hadn't even been a full month yet, so we're in the early stages of the Paul Triple H Levesque era. But I've seen improvements, and I think there's a couple things. I think number one, the fact that he just has to focus on creative is a big deal versus somebody like Vince, who had his hands in every single aspect of this company, from what's on screen to the financial stuff to everything. And probably had his hands on places he shouldn't have been in, Andrew, but we not going to talk about that. We talked about that last month. But I think that with Triple H, he can just focus on creative, and we're seeing more wrestling. I think Brandon Thurston put out something that we got more wrestling over the last 3 weeks than we had previous, particularly on Raw. So we're getting more wrestling. We're getting longer stories. We're seeing the elevation of the secondary belts, the IC title and the US title. We're seeing those belts kind of being brought back to prominence. And I think the big thing that you mentioned, Andrew, is the talent. People like Hit Row coming back, people like Karrion Kross coming back. These are people that were doing big things in NXT, and when they came to the main roster under Vince, they kind of floundered. And I think Triple H is like, let's run that back. Let's give these guys another shot, and I'm gonna show you how they do when I'm running things. So I think that's it's a good thing. We'll see if it lasts, if it's sustainable. But for right now, I think it's getting better. What about you, Chris? How are you feeling about your boy Hunter? I know we've had conversations about some of his decisions in the past, such as Booker T at that one WrestleMania, or even maybe more egregious to Chris beating Sting at that other WrestleMania that made Chris get in his car. I know you heard this story before, Andrew Thompson.
Hey, so about that, I'm gonna let Chris go ahead and talk about this point, but I actually got a story about that Booker T Triple H finish that I don't think has ever been like told before from Brian, who works from a WWE writer. He kind of dove into it a little bit. I'm gonna let Chris go to his point first, because I wanted to make sure everybody, we all got that chance to circle around. But yeah, Chris, your thoughts about the regime changes, then I get into the Booker T Triple H thing after.
I'm not as bullish on it as I was a month ago when we did the show. There's little things here and there that I'm seeing that still get on my nerves.
Okay. Like what?
NXT 2.0 is just still not watchable for me. I do see like subtle changes there, but it's still not something that I feel I need to watch. The Liv Morgan stuff makes zero sense to me. It hasn't been good. And I do blame Triple H for that. Like, the way it was almost similar to like the situation with Big E, the way he beat Bobby Lashley. Like, we were happy for it when it happened, but once the smoke settled and you actually saw how his title reign played out, it was like, all right, what did we just see? That I could blame on Vince McMahon, but this Liv Morgan stuff, I just thought the booking of that was really, really bad. And then I thought the follow up to it hasn't been great either. Other things like that I'm very happy about. Drew McIntyre losing that
get into
sword.
it. I was going to bring that up, Chris.
Yeah, that is, to me, like, I will thank Triple H for that, because that was I sounded off on that every chance I got. That sword was so silly. It was stupid. It was ridiculous. It made Drew McIntyre look like a doofus. It made it so I could never buy him as a serious contender. to Roman Reigns because it was stupid, man. I was like, yeah, you know, you try to like, and this is the thing about wrestling. It's like you're trying to watch wrestling sometimes. I have a girlfriend who doesn't love wrestling, you know what I'm saying? And you know, you're trying to convince, you know, people like girlfriend, cousins, brothers, sisters, whoever, hey, this wrestling isn't that bad and stuff. And you see this fool coming out there with a sword, brandishing it, and never stabbing anybody with it. It just makes it just it's farcical almost. So I'm glad that at least has been fixed, and the comment, the way they commented on it was pretty entertaining too, with Kevin Owens and Drew. As far as the rest of the show, I mean, there's a lot I could say about everything on this show, and I just had a point I wanted to bring up, and I completely lost it. It was on another thing on Raw, but it's just like there's things that I like about the show, and there's things that I think still needs. Oh, I remember what it was now. It was Elias. I thought we were done with that shit. I was happy that we were done with that Kevin Owens beat his ass, power bombed him on the apron portion of the ring. And I was like, yes, finally, we're done with this. And then the next week, they introduced like 5 more of these motherfuckers with him, you know, with Elias dressed like that needs to go too. I think any remnants of that goofy stuff has to go.
Hey, not what I think that was the official write-off of the Ezekiel character, because they said he was going to be away for a long time. I do agree with Chris that shit was getting kind of it had been kind of got stale to me, but like I think with them having Kevin Owens like sort of return to that former version of himself, the prize fighter, which I think is a good thing, and have more the serious Kevin Owens and get rid of Ezekiel. And then like I think them showing his family being like, oh, you know, he's gonna be, this commentary said he's gonna be away for a long time, and you know, when he gets back and all this other stuff. So I think that was like the official write-off of this whole Ezekiel thing. But I definitely do agree with Chris in the fact that got still weeks ago. And like at first, I ain't gonna lie, it was kind of like funny, like in a stupid way, but like I would say after like 3 weeks of it, after like constantly seeing it's like, all right, let's like after they did the whole thing with like having the Elias and Ezekiel on screen, I'm like, I feel like that should have been you should have wrapped that up right after that, but they kept going with it.
Well, that's the classic Vince McMahon thing, Andrew, of something might be funny once, but I'm going to run it into the ground so many times that it loses whatever entertainment value it had in the first place.
Yeah, nah, for sure. No, I definitely agree with that. But like when are you good, Chris?
It's like that episode of SpongeBob where he rips his pants. Have you ever seen that? And the joke is funny, but then when he keeps ripping his pants, it's like everybody in you know, the
bikini bottom,
like,
bikini bottom,
yeah. They're like, okay, this is stupid now, and that's how Vince McMahon is with a lot of those jokes.
Side note before Andrew gets into his story, we might have to start a SpongeBob podcast on the side.
Hey, just to follow up on what Chris was saying, like real quick on that, the points. I like there are things that I definitely think that can be improved on. Like in all honesty, bro, like I'm gonna just keep it a stack right with Cross. The Cross jokes I see on Twitter are always hilarious to me. Like I'm always laugh at the jokes like that I see, like the people be saying like he always gritting his teeth and like unnecessarily and all this stuff. But the way that he's been presented compared to that shit that they had him doing last summer is like vastly an improvement. I'm talking about in the best way possible. Like it's and for real, bro, I don't even think it's like I'm not going to discredit him and say it's not him, but like it's just the fact that you're seeing new people on the show instead of seeing like the same faces you see every week and the same way that you see him every week. It's just a mix, and that's what adds that sort of fresh feel to some portions of the show instead of like you know, we seeing the same person every week in the same spot, in the same feud, doing the same thing, saying the same things every week. Like, and then it just adds something new. And like Nate, how you mentioned, I thought you hit a real key point about the presentation of the US and in the kind of the titles, bro. That is, bro, a simple video package, bro. A simple video package can enhance the most smallest thing or like anything like that. And I think the real challenge for Triple H is going to be making people care again about the Mustafa Ali's, the Cedric Alexanders, the Dominic Dijakovics, making people care about these people that you do not see or they have on that previous regime did not give you a reason to care about them. If it starts getting to the point where he can bring Cedric Alexander back to that prominence that me personally viewed him as when he was in that cruiserweight title reign, that's a plus. Same thing with Ali. Same thing with Ricochet. Like, and then at that with the going back to the mid card titles, bro, that is so key, especially considering you got one dude who's holding both your world titles. You need to make these titles feel important. And it's crazy how just with one video package per title has like instantly made those titles feel important. And in addition to the people that's holding them, like, you know, you gotta give credit to Bobby Lashley and Gunther as well for being like they were already being presented in a good light. But like now it's being enhanced with the, you know, making the mid card titles feel like this thing other than just, you know, two random people holding it. But like going back to that story I was talking about with Booker T losing to Triple H at WrestleMania 19. Brian Gruwertz, the former WWE writer, he'd been doing like a bunch of media to promote his book. And he actually did an interview with Post too. But he was on Kurt Angle's podcast, I believe it was, and he was asked about WrestleMania 19. And of course, that's the card with Brock Lesnar beat Kurt Angle for the world title in the main event. And he was like, he pushed for it. Like he wanted Booker T to beat Triple H at Mania. But he was like, the mindset in the writer's room and amongst everybody was that the main thing that needs to be like the big hoorah of this show is Brock beating Kurt. And the Vince McMahon Terry Bollea stuff. He said that was like everybody's like those two things need to be the big bang of WrestleMania 19, and like anything else happening other than that is going to take away from that flair. And that's what he said. Like that's what he says. Like that was everybody's general consensus was in that meeting. And he was just like, I feel like since it's WrestleMania, it should be like a more the merrier type thing. Like we should have as many big moments as we possibly can. This is Mania. Like we need to have this and that, and everybody had these big moments. But he was just like everybody was so gung ho and so strong on the idea of that. Oh man, you know, if we do this, it's gonna take away from, you know. Go ahead, Chris. I'm gonna let you.
I'm never surprised at white folking. So it is what it is, man. That's stupid, and that bullshit. I just never buy that kind of crap. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think it's like, you know, and I heard Gruwertz tell the story. I've listened to most of the interviews he did on Renee, John Pollock. I've listened to all, and Kurt Angle one too. He's making like serious rounds.
You got to sell his book now.
Yeah, he's got to sell that book, and I do think that Gruwertz was bullish on Booker T winning, but the problem is that, you know, when you got a writing staff and it's nothing but, you know, it's Lily White and nothing but white people there, of course they're gonna be like, oh,
and they're also writing for an old white man.
Yeah, exactly. So
at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's kind of that's almost expected. I hope that kind of shit stops. But yeah, that is one of the dumbest things that WWE's ever done, man. Like they've done some dumb stuff, like when like Hulk Hogan throwing Sid out that Royal Rumble in 91 and expecting him to still be a face, or was it 92? I think it was 92.
Or when Triple H beat Sting and Chris drove all the way home.
Yeah,
didn't
like
even watch the end of WrestleMania.
Yeah, the logic pretzels these people twist themselves in, it just never surprises me. It doesn't. It's like, you know, and just hearing that story from Gruwertz, it really just shows you why you need diversity in that, because if the plan was for Booker T to lose at WrestleMania, that build should have never had happened.
Correct.
You should have never had done it in that fashion.
Bringing up his past, like, record and all that.
But pretty much having Triple H call him a nappy-headed hoe, or whatever. It wasn't that was Imus, but Triple H talking about his
Don Imus.
but Triple H talking about his nappy hair, and
Don Imus would have fit in good with that writer's room at the time.
Right, yeah.
I'm about to say, Chris, and using like terminology like people like you and
people like you. It was somebody there would have been like, look, if just one black person was on that writing staff, they would have been like, okay, look, if the plan is for Triple H to win, we can't go to these places.
Correct.
Like telling this guy to hold his bags and stuff. Like, just thinking about that makes my blood boil, because it was just so egregious, and it just really kind of turned me off of WWE for a while. I never really even got back to liking WWE at the same level after they did that to Booker T, and then it's like, just with no WCW there to be competition, it just seemed like more of the same of that kind of crap.
And here's the thing though. If you want to hear more on this particular match in particular, but also more about that WrestleMania in general, Chris, have I got a podcast for you? Episode 1 of the late great Bushby and Thompson's Wrestling
the late
Adventures,
great,
starring Andrew Thompson and that good brother Martin Bushby. We spoke about that in great detail, Chris, about how just idiotic and backwards thinking that was.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, we know Triple H is one of your guys, but you got a chance to make another guy, and then you can come out of WrestleMania with 2 guys, right? Instead of just one. And they completely botched it with Booker, and it took until the King Booker thing for him to really gain that momentum back.
Right. And the thing is and this is what one of the points that we always try to say, it's not even that we think WWE is overtly racist. And sometimes I do think they are, but in this situation, I honestly believe that they thought, oh, Brock Lesnar is the shiny object that we got to spotlight. I can buy that. And I think I can easily buy that race didn't even come into their thought, into their purview when they were booking that stuff. My problem is exactly that. My problem is that they didn't think about the race of Booker T. You know what I'm saying? They just thought, oh, we could just treat this guy like another white guy on the roster that Triple H destroys. And you have to be a little bit more sensitive than that when you are booking black talent, because the thing is
even if you want to be cynical, Chris, real quick, even if you want to be cynical, even if you think Triple H should win, there's more money in Booker winning.
Yes.
Because you bring in a different audience and they got money to spend too. So even if you don't believe in Booker, believe in the money.
Right.
Bro, I feel like somebody from that, like that was in those creative rooms from that time period, I feel like they'll argue you the same excuse that they probably would. They'd be like, oh man, well, it was a different time, it was a different era. Like I feel like that's normally like the feedback that you'll get when you get questioned, like when some of them get questioned about like particular storylines that may involve like that may have racial aspects of it or things in relation to some things may be in races and stuff. Like I feel like that's it was a different time, or it was a different era and things were different. And, it's not the same as it is today, and it wasn't on social media. Like it's like they're basically like escape plan to like not have to like answer the question directly or not have to get into those conversations that they may find difficult pertaining to race.
And that's one of the top 5 missteps in the history of that company. And I'll even that was, which WrestleMania was that?
19.
the very next year at
Lesnar was gone.
WrestleMania 2000, the WrestleMania that was in 2000, or maybe it was the year before.
No,
I don't know.
You mean WrestleMania 20 at Madison Square Garden?
No, WrestleMania 2000. That's the one they called it WrestleMania 2000. So is that the year before or the year?
No,
after?
that was 3 years before.
Yeah.
Okay. So WrestleMania 2000, they did the same fucking thing with The Rock. Like,
see, hold on, y'all. What y'all don't know, I'm gonna peel behind the curtain while Chris gets ramped up here. Chris got issues with this pay-per-view, not just because of what he's about to talk about, but because I bet you Chris paid for the WrestleMania all-day package for WrestleMania 2000, and he's like, these mother ripped me off.
Yes, it's like, and this is when I actually liked Triple H, but I just thought that the logical thing to do, where we saw the trajectory The Rock's career was going on in the year 2000, right? I mean, anybody can see it. Like, people knew who The Rock was by wrestling. They didn't even, the crossover stuff didn't even happen for him that much yet, but people knew him just from wrestling. That guy should have won at WrestleMania 2000, and somebody's dumbass or a writing team's dumbass thought it'd be a good idea to have Triple H win that match. Like, what the fuck? What's really hood, my dude? I gotta know this shit. Like, that makes no sense. And then, after those two egregious actions from that company, you think, oh, Kofi Kingston, they did a lot of the race bait and shit with Kofi Kingston. You would think, oh, okay, Kofi Kingston's gonna get an honorable run with this title, and for the most part he kind of did, but then they just ruined it all.
Hey Chris, them feuds he had, I ain't like, some of them was decent, but like, I ain't gonna lie, most of them jokes was ass, bro.
It depends. Like, we could run through, like, the feud he had with Orton was decent, and that was years in the making. It was decent. Who else did he feud with?
Remember he had that thing with Dolph, when Dolph was like, it should have been.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah,
that might as well have been Ron Simmons and the Barbarian.
The Barbarian. Hey, Chris, you know the crazy. Okay, so just to follow up on that, he had Kevin Owens for a little bit. He had Samoa Joe for a little bit. I forgot
about Joe.
He had Joe, and he had the thing with Dolph, and then the thing with Orton, and then right after that was when the Brock thing happened. See, this like, we going on for a whole other thing. What was we
need to deal with this.
Yeah. Like, so look, my whole thing about the Kofi thing was, like, I remember, like, cause I was doing the SmackDown notes for posted this when I was still doing the SmackDown coverage, and I remember when I first saw the graphic of Brock versus Kofi for that. That was the first SmackDown app put on the Fox debut, right? And I'm looking at it, I seen the graphic, I was like, yeah, it is. That's gonna be that's gonna be when he dropped the title. And I was fully expecting, like, it's considering, like, the factors, like, it's the Fox debut, how they view Brock Lesnar, and in that same, I'm like, that's probably gonna be where he loses the title. I was thinking, I was like, you know what, man, my man Kofi, like, I didn't feel like all the feuds they weren't as big as they could have been, or being like, not everything's gonna be perfect, but like at least as crisp as I wanted them to be. But I was like, you know what, we had like a good 5-6 months. You know what I'm saying? Like, kudos to my guy, he done pulled it off. Like, I was fully expecting him to lose to Brock. My whole issue is the way he lost to Brock, and not like that. Yeah. Like, see, the thing is, and this is my issue with it, right? Let's go back to Survivor Series 2017 when Brock fought AJ Styles. AJ Styles hit the phenomenal form, had that moment in the match, had the calf crusher. You didn't fully believe he was going to be Brock, but it was that one moment where you like genuinely believed that he had a chance at beating Brock. Go back to wherever it was that he faced. I think it was like a month before, where he faced Samoa Joe. It was that moment where you legitimately thought that Joe was going to beat Brock. Same thing with Braun Strowman. Legitimate moment where you thought he was going to beat Brock. Let's go back to Royal Rumble 2018 when he fought Finn Balor, and they said, I remember Brock had some type of some type of internal thing that he been dealing with since he was like a kid, and they like played it up on that when Finn Balor pushed him into the announce table, went up for the coup de grace. People legitimately thought that Finn Balor was gonna beat this dude. Same thing with Daniel Bryan at Survivor Series 2018 when he gave him the low blow and hit the flying knee. There was ever a moment where I thought that somebody was gonna beat Brock. Like he had that moment. Same thing with Rey Mysterio, Survivor Series 2019 when him and Dominic hit the double 619. They both hit up for the frog splash. I thought that there was a slight chance that he was gonna beat Brock. So tell me what was wrong with giving Kofi that moment? Like everybody and most of those matches that they had weren't even super long, but it's the fact that they had that time in there with Brock. Most of the people in those spots was getting punished by Brock for most of the match. They was getting slammed all over the place. The shit was like a dead away finish. But they all had hope spots. They all had that one moment in the match where you legitimately thought that there was a chance that they could beat Brock, even though you probably knew internally that the result wasn't going to be that. It's just the fact that they had those hope spots, like they said. And I would have appreciated if they could have did something with, like, okay, you go to traditional route of what you do. Suplex, and then it is a one moment where Brock slips a little bit. Kofi catches him. Trouble with Paradise. Everybody thinks that, oh shit, Kofi about to pull it off. He about to pull off the miracle. Because everybody believed in Kofi. And like, for real, it should have been his title reign. He wasn't. I did like that they didn't present Kofi as like that full blown underdog, because that shit kind of gets stale a little bit. But the fact that in this particular case with Brock, it seemed like that sort of steam that Kofi had lost a little bit, and no issue with. I'm talking about not to his credit, it was more so like the way he was being presented at the time. It seemed like that steam got fully behind him again when he fought Brock, and I think a lot of people was just waiting for that one moment where it was like, oh shit, Kofi hit the Trouble in Paradise. He might actually do this shit. And then
like you said,
people
were still behind him, Andrew.
They were still behind, and then at that, you throw all that away for Cain Velasquez.
Yeah.
And then the match was shit. It was terrible. It was terrible. It was fucking awful. And then he was gone. He was gone. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It was worse than the because Kofi and Lesnar fought before at that Japanese pay-per-view.
Yeah, they did.
And that was more competitive than the next one. And Kofi was the champ then. It was stupid. And then you think, okay, they botched The Rock's title run or botched his WrestleMania moment. They botched Booker T's WrestleMania moment. They'll do a good job with Kofi Kingston, and then they botch his moment. So you finally are like, okay, they're gonna do a good job with Big E. And they do the same fucking thing. It's this company has a problem with race, and their problem with race could be that they just don't recognize race. It's shameful. This is horrible.
We don't see color, brother. We don't see color.
Yeah. And you know, Jim Ross goes on this podcast and he says, I don't think it was a race thing. And the fact that he doesn't think it was a race thing means it was the biggest race thing on the planet. It's just you motherfuckers don't see it that way. And that's the problem with all of this stuff. And this is an AEW problem too, is you guys have a lot of black wrestlers on the roster, but in comparison to white wrestlers, there's way many more of them. So, you know, they can afford to take these kind of L's and stuff a little bit more than black wrestlers do, because black wrestlers rarely reach that mountaintop, you know? So when you got them, you got to treat them with a certain level of reverence and dignity.
Well, just think about those names, Chris. So you're talking about all the way back to 2000 to 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
And you said The Rock, Booker T, Kofi Kingston, Big E. Like you could probably throw Mark Henry in there somewhere, but that's 5 dudes.
Yeah.
5 dudes over 20 years, man.
Yeah.
Versus your Dolph Zigglers and your Miz's of the world.
Yeah.
You know, this kind of dudes that are good, but you know there's a certain level, but they still getting these opportunities at the mountaintop. And it's like, you have to be a little bit more aware when you're booking. Like, I'm not saying they're racist, you know, Chris. I'm not saying that, you know, these decisions were based on race, but I'm saying that you have to be aware of the message that you're sending through your stories. And they weren't aware with The Rock. They weren't aware with with Booker T and Triple H, and they certainly weren't aware with Kofi and Brock Lesnar. And I feel like it's something that unless you consciously address it, it's something that's going to keep on happening. And it doesn't matter whether Vince got the book or Hunter got the book.
Yeah, and I'll give Hunter this credit.
Oh, Bianca Belair. Let's throw Bianca and Sasha in there too. So you got 7 over 20 years.
It's Sunday morning. Sunday morning should be easy. This is
shout out to the Commodores.
Yeah, this is stressing me out, man. But yeah,
this man Chris ain't even had his morning coffee yet, and Triple H got his blood pressure up.
Really, man. Yeah, I don't even drink coffee, but I need some. These people, it's just the color blindness from these people in wrestling, because I'm probably in this show I'll go off on TK for this as well, but it's just you can't treat Kofi when he's that hot like the Miz and Ziggler. It just can't happen because there's who's underneath Kofi, you know what I'm saying? Who was underneath Booker T that's black? Who was under the fucking Rock? Like, what the hell was that? Made no goddamn sense at all. Like the Rock has never won the title at Wrestlemania. That is insane. That is just not something that should be,
Yeah.
It is. Hey, but you know what, Nate, I do think this conversation is a good transition over to the Tony Khan, Jonathan Gresham situation that unfolded as we were recording the last episode of Nubian Wrestling, because that was when Death Before Dishonor was on, and Chris was giving us the results.
Yeah, Chris spoiled everything.
Hey, I told everyone on Twitter that I would. So
that was a fun show that we did with Brandon, man. But that situation came out like immediately. I would say like the day or so after. I think it had first reported by Fight with Sean Ross that Jonathan Gresham had requested his release from AEW / ROH. Of course, he was under contract with the dual contract thing that Tony Khan owns both of those respective companies, and it was noted in their report that there was like a back and forth between Tony and Gresham, and it led to Gresham quote unquote cussing Tony Khan out and openly verbalizing his frustrations about essentially how things played out, because we all saw like Jonathan Gresham came out. He didn't have his signature get up that he usually has, his the octopus mask and all the things that make him look cool, and that adds to the overall presentation of the Jonathan Gresham persona that he puts out on TV in terms of being like the best technical wrestler and all that good stuff. And he didn't come out with any of that. The match with Claudio was fairly quick. For most people's standards. Like I think a lot of people were expecting them to run at least 25, 30, or maybe I saw some people suggesting that they could have been a draw, that maybe they run it back and do the title switch at the next ROH event, or maybe do it on a special episode of the AEW TV or something along those lines. But yeah, man, like in terms of like how y'all feel about because Gresham I don't think he's like out of wrestling. Like he wrestled at Ric Flair's last match. I know he was part of that match card, and he's been doing a couple, he's been doing some stuff here and there. So I'm more so curious about like what y'all think about the aftermath of all this. We're a month out of it. I don't think there's been anything formal about Gresham being released from ROH, or I don't think anything has happened with that. I think it's more so at a standstill. But like just to add, I'm curious about y'all thoughts. But like I just want to say, like, I don't think that situation, like, first of all, like when you have a situation like that, I feel like Gresham has been sort of the forefront of Ring of Honor for I don't even know how long at this point, like a full year, maybe even more than that at this point. And I can only imagine what that felt like for somebody to like, okay, I'm carrying this company, even when it was shut down, representing this company, doing all these different shows, representing the brand of ROH, on my own show, doing the tournament stuff as well, representing ROH. And like for that to just be like, well, hey, buddy, appreciate you, but I'm gonna roll with this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit would probably piss me off too. Like, especially considering like, I think it would have been maybe more easy. Like, of course, I don't know. I never spoken to Gresham, so I don't know this personally. But like, I would assume that would be more easier to digest if this wasn't such a like, oh man, it's the first thing back. The first, like, of course he had Super Card of Honor, but like the first sort of super official event under Tony Khan, this regime change and, the official, assumedly launch of some type of formal, consistent ROH programming. Like you would think that it would be like, okay, well, hey, let's wait to the next one, or let's do it on a special episode of AEW, like sometime months later down the line or something like that. But I'm pretty sure it did probably piss him off to like, hear that he was losing it on that first night, and then the matter that he did, and then of course you got, people I guess there was some type of thing that came out like where he assumingly mentioned that he was like on the PWI type thing, and like people was like making jokes about the shit and like all that stuff, which I didn't think was funny, but it's
right.
I'm more so I'm very interested to hear Gresham's side of the situation. I don't think Tony Khan has spoken about it. I know he was asked about it when he was on I think he was on Dan Lebatard's show, and he like asked about it, but he didn't really. I'm pretty sure y'all heard Tony Khan.
No, in the media scrum, he gave a kayfabe answer, and then on the Lebatard show, he kind of did the same thing.
That danced around it a little bit, on the Lebatard show, he did dance around it. So, like, I am interested. I don't think he's going to say anything because I don't know if he's still in the contract or maybe he was quietly let go, like, or whatever that situation going on. But I mean, I feel like he's justified in feeling that way. Like, you give your all to somewhere, and they just like sort of. Not drop you, because they didn't drop them, but more so like treat you in a way that you feel you should have been treated. You got every right to feel like that, and I feel like that's what anything. They only got to be in wrestling. If you feel like you are of a certain wavelength and you don't feel like your employer sees that shit gonna piss you off, and you gonna express it how you express it. And whether people feel that was the right way to go about it, I mean, I don't really think that's it is for the court of public opinion. Everybody gonna have their opinions about it. Like, you really can't say shit about that, but. Like, I mean, if Gresham felt that way, then I feel like you got every right to feel that way.
I think, Andrew, especially if you're talking about this new landscape, quote unquote, where maybe there might be some doors open at another company that might not have been open a month ago.
Bro.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's options out there. And I think it's kind of interesting if you look at, and I know this isn't a apples to apples comparison, Chris, but if you compare Booker's journey in the WWE versus Gresham, like, both of these guys are kind of the flag bearers of dead companies, for lack of a better term. And but you would think Gresham would be in a better situation because TK has infinitely more respect for ROH than Vince had for WCW, but it just didn't work out like that. And like, this is nothing against Claudio, because I think all three of us respect that man.
Bro, I like Claudio, bro.
Claudio, that dude. But I think there was another way to tell this story without Gresham being kind of one and done, even though you're right, Andrew, they did have the Super Card of Honor, but this was kind of their big coming out party under TK officially, and I can get why Gresham would feel some type of way.
Right.
Like, speaking from experience, Chris, as a I know people can't see how tall I am when I'm sitting down on the screen, but as a fellow short king, y'all don't know all the trials and tribulations that we have had to go through, me and Jonathan Gresham and Cat Williams and Kevin Hart, to get to where we are with everybody looking down on us literally and figuratively, Chris. But I feel like for Gresham, man, if he feels like he's not being appreciated with Tony, there are options, man. Like, it's
you got every right to feel like that.
Right. And that speaks to a larger question or larger point that Chris brought up about TK. Like, again, like, I don't think Tony Khan is a racist, but I do feel like Tony Khan has blind spots when it comes to the presentation of black talent in his company.
Right. It's like, and this is my problem with wrestling for the longest time. It's like, for you to get noticed if you're black in wrestling, you gotta be The Rock or Jade Cargill. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be a regular human being. You know what I'm saying? You have to be like the upper echelon of the upper echelon. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jade Cargill, she walks in a room.
Heads turning.
Yeah, heads are turning. The Rock is the same way. You know, I love
You
the
either got to be
story.
super charismatic or built like Bobby Lashley.
Right, yeah. And then I love the story that Jim Ross was telling about his first lunch with the Rock, and he goes to the restaurant and just girls just keep looking at this guy. Like, that's kind of like how you got to be if you're a black talent. Jonathan Gresham, and it really does disappoint me to the extent that it feels like the minute that TK got the white guy that he rather have in that role, which happens in wrestling a lot, it's like the minute you get the white guy that you want in that role, the black guy kind of gets kicked to the wayside. You know what I'm saying? We could talk about Scorpio Sky a month or two before this. You know what I'm saying? It's just a common theme in wrestling, and I thought TK was better than that. And they just did the heel turn with them, right? They had just done the heel turn with them.
Yeah.
And I thought he should have gotten at least a good month or so out of a heel run before he was dropping the belt. I don't know what the rush was to put the belt on Claudio, especially now. I mean, because Claudio really hasn't done anything I would call significant with the belt. You know what I'm saying? This they could have given him.
And they don't have TV, so like, you know, it's not like you're forced to tell a story that concludes this week or next week. Like, you can drag out this story as long as you want to, and they chose not to.
Yeah, and I wrote an article on WrestleNomics about the kind of toxic positivity that goes on in wrestling. We're still trying to figure out. Me and Thurston were busy this past week, but we're still trying to, tighten it up, and hopefully it gets out this week. But it's just a sad state in wrestling when this stuff just continues to happen, and I've never heard of Jonathan Gresham having these kinds of creative issues in wrestling. I've always heard stories from Seth Rollins and Bryan Danielson, and just all of his contemporaries talk about, the ROH belt is in good hands with him. And then Seth Rollins told this story on Twitter how Jonathan Gresham helped him out. I think he like paid something for him, or something like,
because you're talking about when he was promoting Terminus.
Yeah. This is Gresham is not a rabble rouser. Yeah, he's not someone that's in a locker room to cause trouble. And when you got a guy like this who loves his art and appreciates his art, and he's having this kind of issue.
Yes. And a guy who's really talented. Like, let's not bury the lead. Like, this dude is wrestler, from bell to bell. He can get it. Yeah. And it's like, it's not like this dude can't wrestle and he's causing issues or there's friction. But it's like, this dude is one of the top bell to bell guys in a company full of top bell to bell guys, and you still can't see eye to eye. That's the problem with the promoter, not with the performer, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly right. It's a problem with the promoter, and it's a problem you're not communicating things well to this guy to make him understand the vision that you and the company have for him. It just ties into a lot of these similar kinds of things that I keep seeing in AEW that really do need to be fixed and addressed, my concern, and then I think Marcus brought this up in one of our group chats, is he talked about the Ass Boys and Varsity Blondes. I'm concerned about them too, but I take special concern over the black talent in that company, just because I don't know who's going to get a shot after them. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who's next in line. I don't know, especially when you don't have an idea of the creative direction for these guys. It's just they're gonna have Claudio fight
Dustin Rhodes.
Dustin Rhodes, Gold Dust, if you will. They're gonna have.
Well, they called him the Natural.
Yeah, they're gonna have him fight that, and I think that's a solid feud. It's just I still don't understand why Gresham can't fit into it, and I'm not gonna be invited to a media scrum to ask about that. And even if I am invited to a media scrum to ask about that, they won't. TK is probably not gonna let me ask that. So these things need to be fixed. Is all I'm saying.
I feel like you on TK's ban list after the whole mobility cart incident.
I forgot
we can't
about
even
that.
let this dude in the building no more.
Chris, that was Double or Nothing, right? Damn,
yeah, it's Double or Nothing.
Yeah,
Double or Nothing weekend.
Bro, that was May. That was like 4 months ago. God,
it's
damn,
crazy.
Bro. Time be flying, dude.
Yeah, and I caught COVID at that event, and then I couldn't go to the LA events because I had tickets for those events. I had to give them to Julie, Chase, and Benno. I think Benno was having the issues. Chase actually had her media credentials, but Benno couldn't get a ticket, so I gave the tickets to them.
Shout out to Steph and Benno.
Yeah. But again, this is just something in AEW in wrestling. This is what I don't want to happen. This is an industry wide issue, especially in the top two. This is not a issue unique to WWE or unique to AEW. They both are kind of guilty of the same kind of shit in this regard, like, and it's got to stop. It just has to.
Mm-hmm. And I think, again, like, we're not saying this to say that AEW isn't good, because I think all three of us like a lot of what AEW has been doing this year.
I would say it's the same thing with just adding to a point. They like it's stuff like in terms of like how like I'm really liking the run that Bobby Lashley is on. Like I'm like thoroughly enjoying this shit. Like
and we'll talk a little bit about Bobby here in a second.
You go ahead, Nate. My bad.
No, but I was gonna say real quick, Andrew. Like it's not to say that AEW is trash. The shows ain't good. Like the shows are good, but they could be better. And going back to something we talked about on our very first episode of the Nubian Wrestling Advocates here on Post, like people are willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, Tony Khan, but that benefit of a doubt comes with an expiration date.
Yeah,
and
it does.
You be the guy that's coming in talking about we're gonna be different. There's gonna be changes. We're not gonna operate like some other people have in the past. Everybody's gonna have a shot here. This is gonna be an inclusive company, but you're not showing me the work on screen. Like I think people's patience has a limit, Andrew, and I think we're starting to kind of. I know some people have been ready.
Alfred has been complaining about this from the very first day of AEW's existence. He was looking for an angle, and the last thing I want TK to do, and I'm cool with Alfred. I still interact with him from time to time.
Did he send you a cheese tray for your birthday?
Nah, he didn't do all that. But I'm just saying, you don't want to.
If you know, ladies and gentlemen. If you know, you know.
You don't want to give Alfred or people in that state ammo to kind of go after you. You know what I'm saying? And especially if they're not going to go after WWE for the same thing. And I think this is just kind of like in TK's company is a little bit past its infancy now. It's still, maybe the toddler stage, still getting its legs and all that. So they have time to fix these issues. It's just, and then, and Brandy Rhodes isn't there anymore. And, I've seen the creative team that they launched, but I don't remember seeing any black people on there. I don't want to know if they're a creative team or just
they're like most of those people got promoted in the talent relations department, like Tony Schiavone and Pat Buck and QT.
Okay.
It's more to like talent relations.
Yeah. So where is the black person in that amongst them? You know what I'm saying? It's like where's the Mexican person? That's these are questions that need to be asked, especially if you're a company that hires and employs a bunch of black people and Mexican people, and especially, I mean, at least in a consulting role, you know what I'm saying? Even if you don't want them in creative, you have them in consulting roles. Like it took
them like 2 years to figure out what the hell they were going to do with Sonny Kiss, and somebody who we all think is talented, and like they finally just gave Sonny a storyline.
Yeah, Sonny finally got put in the story. I was just about to mention that, like when Chris wrapped up, like I'm like the heel turn. I ain't really get it, but I was like, well, I mean, shit, you know what I'm saying? It's something.
Yeah,
like
it's something, right?
It's something, bro. And like, now that I'm like when I'm thinking about it, I'm like the Trust Busters, with Ari Daivari and Slim J and Parker Bodo and Sonny being a 4-person team. I'm like, and it's still fresh, so I'm like, let it sort of formulate, marinate a little bit.
Let it play out, Andrew.
Yeah, let it play out. There you go, Dave.
And the thing with the Busters is that they are all like very, very different personalities. So none of them are like really belong together. So it will be interesting to see what TK's vision for them are. And props to, because I mean the bad thing about wrestling is usually in the past when it's been a heel, if whether it's a gay heel or a heel who used gay stereotypes to get heat, they're not doing that with.
I believe Jim Ross would say those are mind games, Chris. They're playing mind.
Yeah,
games.
Mind games is what they called them. Which was just really just kind of like having this guy acting homoerotic rape behavior. I mean, Vince McMahon said himself in a promo when Goldust came in, he said, you're playing off the fears of homophobia that a lot of men have and stuff like that. And that was the idea behind that character. At least TK's not doing that with Sonny Kiss, but
right.
And again, it is this, I would classify this as a let it wait and see situation, because it could get better, or it
that's sort of like the mindset that I have, where it kind of just like I know it's the old joke, like the let it play out thing, but like I'm genuinely curious to see. And honestly, I ain't gonna lie, for me, I give Tony Khan like a benefit of the doubt when it comes to tag teams. Like even when I'm like initially like I don't know, because he is like really good at like putting these like people together that you really don't think might work, and then like they ended up working. Like even with the Acclaim, they weren't a tag team before, and he like just put them two together, and now look at the Acclaim. At first I wasn't feeling it, but like now I'm like I kind of want to see them. Not even kind of, I want to see them win the tag titles at some point. So I think that's gonna be real cool whenever that happens, man. But I'm very much like a wait and see type thing with the Trust Busters, and shit, it might turn out to be something interesting in like 3 or 4 months. So definitely I'm happy to see Sonny get more TV time, because I know we've been talking about it for years, and not even just us, a lot of other people, man, just been talking about like what to do with Sonny Kiss and the next step, and how you can like, and I know we sort of thought about the idea, or not even us. Sonny said the idea herself about the idea of like being paired with Jade Cargill and Kiera Hogan and Red Velvet, and sort of being that branch between the women's division and the men's division, getting involved. And I think it could have been cool if like it could have been, so there's just a lot of different routes that you could go with, like having access to 2 different divisions amongst one faction, like much how you have like with the Jericho Appreciation Society with Anna Jay and Tay Conti being involved. Like I think it's just much more easier in a lot of different ways to work with when you got people from different branches that like having like that access to multiple divisions, and being able to just be able to filter people in and out. So yeah, they're definitely interested to see what the Trust Busters become. But they, like Chris said, they are a very odd pairing. It's like that whole that whole trio. You know, Slim J with his hat turned to the side, stuff like that. But he been doing that. You know what I'm saying? That ain't nothing, dude. That's Slim J right there. So that ain't nothing. Yeah.
So should we go to what's next on the docket, or
let's get it? Let's do that, Chris. Let's do that. But this is something that Chris actually been saying that he wanted to talk about since the day it happened, Nate. And that is the Amari Miller tweet.
Oh yes,
discussing that. Hey, put it back on full screen, brother. Put it back.
You know what I'm saying? Look, we got to clear the lane, and get Chris the ball in the post.
Yeah.
I'm about to clear the lane, and I'm about to do the halfback toss to Chris, and he's just about to run with it. That's what we about. Hey, Chris, real quick, let me say this. So the Amari Miller situation, if y'all don't know, she was discussing, like, you know, she wanted to be the next Black NXT Women's Champion, and somebody had said something along that she credited Ember Moon for being the first, I believe, and then and then somebody commented and was like, "Hey, you forgot to mention Sasha Banks." And she was like, "Oh, well, let me correct myself. The first full Black African American NXT Women's Champion." And Nate, to say the least, her mentions were filled a lot, and she did not receive a positive response at all. It definitely led to her deleting her Twitter, but she did say that her reasoning for it was that Sasha Banks is of another ethnicity along with being Black, and that was not met very well at all. With her response, and I know Chris had a lot to say about this. So and she did issue Chris, she issued like an apology like statement like afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I think when you make a tweet like that, and a bunch of people react to it in a way that in an adverse way. I think the one thing you don't want to do, even if you think your tweet was right, I just think the one thing you don't want to do is double down on whatever you said and triple down on it. I just never see that work out well for anyone, especially someone who's on the come up, right? Not someone who's an established person. It's one thing when Dave Chappelle does that kind of shit. I mean, he's Dave Chappelle, and you know he's going to do what he wants to do. But Amari Miller is not at that status, so that's one thing that she herself needs to consider. Above all that, though, is I'm just never a fan of like trying to classify somebody's Blackness. I think it's always a problem, especially if you're an American Black person. A lot of people don't know this about me because I don't advertise it, but I am part Native American on my mom's side. My family are Lake Waccamaw Indians, and that's where my family lives, in Lake Waccamaw. We've got our own land and stuff like that, and my grandmother is part Syrian as well. So, I wouldn't be going to any Saudi tours because, once they find out that I'm part Syrian, it'd be an issue. So, Amari Miller, I don't know if she knows exactly what her genealogy is. I have direct lines to my genealogy, so I've always been taught this stuff. But you can't do that kind of thing, especially because we're all fighting the same thing. And if she was pulled over by the police, her ass would be Black, and Sasha Banks's ass would be Black. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I can't get with a lot of this like ADOS stuff when they try to exclude international Black people that aren't from America, because we don't really know people's stories that well, and we don't know how slavery directed individual tribes right out of Africa. We don't, these are things we don't know. So when you start going down this lane, it's really gonna be problematic for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? And I just, you know, I don't want to I don't want to bash, because when I first saw the original tweet, I was a little surprised, but the surprise to me was mostly the double down.
Yeah, she doubled down on that shit. She definitely did.
Triple down. Then she's erasing her Twitter. It's like, why are we even doing this to begin with? You know what I'm saying? And it's disrespectful to Sasha Banks, you know. Like, I can just optically, from what I've seen on television, from all the behind the scenes shit that's going on with Sasha Banks, I don't think it's necessarily been a cakewalk for her in WWE. You know,
right?
I don't think it's been a bed of roses for her or any person of color in that company. I think they got to work twice as hard to
get half as much.
To get half as much. I think if a white guy was as popular as The Rock, I think that white guy would have won the title multiple times at WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying? I think with what happens with a lot of black wrestlers is we're so good at what we do, and a lot of us don't really complain, that we just kind of say, oh, hey, you know, the Rock is The Rock. Why?
Yes.
Out of all this dude's accomplishments, he's probably going to win an Oscar one day. He's probably, you know,
he might be the president one day.
Yeah, he might be the president. He might have his own studio. Like, you know, he's got property in Los Angeles, property in New York, property in Florida. So him not winning the belt at WrestleMania probably means dick to him. You know what I'm saying? but I'm just saying for the greater good of minority talents, you know, these things matter. And Amari Miller, you know, with that kind of tweet, it just wasn't a good look. And again, she's gonna be going through the same stuff. Like, look, it was, and the thing about that's funny about this last beef, it was Sasha Banks and Naomi, a light-skinned sister and a dark-skinned sister, complaining about essentially the same shit. And we don't know if it's race related, but you know, their struggle seem to be similar, you know.
Yeah. I think for me, Chris, there's a couple things. Like, number one, to Amari Miller, like, I think she's still pretty young, like 25, 26, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, she's young, 25.
So she's got time to learn, right, and grow from this incident. But I've never been the person that is about, you know, checking someone's blackness, right? Or, you know, doing a paper bag test on some of these folks, man. Because, like, here's the thing. The only person I will separate and put in a different category when we talk about this is Dwayne Johnson. And it's not because he's biracial. It's not because he's light-skinned, like our brother Marcus Vanderberg. It's because The Rock is the damn Rock, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this dude is on a whole nother level. He's playing another game than everybody else that has come before him or after him. Like, you would have to be an idiot, Andrew, to not make this dude a star because of what he's bringing to the table, right? Whether you are racist or not, that dude is box office. So I put The Rock on a separate category. But in terms of, like, Sasha, like, you can't diminish this woman's accomplishments and what she's had to go through in this business based on her genealogy, as Chris said. Because if we really want to be real with it, Andrew, all three of us here talking on this show and everybody black listening to this show, we got all kind of stuff, particularly if you're African-American, you got all kind of stuff up in the mix, up in the gumbo, due to slavery, due to the history of America, right? And so to say, like, oh, Andrew's blacker than Chris. Like, nah, man, we all black. We all go through the same struggle. We all go through the same trials and tribulations. And so I feel like Amari, like, I don't think she meant it. Well, she did double and triple down.
But she tripled down.
I think, well, that's a separate thing, too. I think, like, in this Twitter age, in this social media age, Andrew, people don't know how to say, my bad, I'm sorry.
Like, nobody wants to be wrong. Nobody wants to be.
People don't know how to take an L, bro. Like, once you see us going that way, the first thing she should have did was been like, you know what, bro, I fucked up. Let me hop over Twitter for the night. hop on in the morning, my bad.
Yeah,
and everybody would have let it slide.
Well, I don't know about all
that. Not let it slide, but it would not have become what it became.
Yeah, no, yeah. Let it. I think they would have. I think it would have been a here today, gone tomorrow story.
Correct. Right. That's what I meant.
Exactly.
I don't think it would have been something that we need to like fully.
It wouldn't have made the show.
Yeah.
Like Chris, to your point, and to your point too, Nate. If she would have like let it go after that first tweet and like just not said anything, it would have been no articles written about it. Like this thing like got covered. Like it got covered by like most wrestling news outlets. Like it would if she would just left it at where it was and like apologized right after it. But maybe it probably still would have been covered, but without the degree of her, doubling down on it and tripling down on it and that thing about she's like half German or something like that. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, what is this?
Yeah. And the thing is I think you pretty soon in wrestling, even though WWE is allegedly Shangri-La right now, you are going to be going through the same things a lot of those sisters in that company are going through. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to matter what your complexion is or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the proof of that is just what we've kind of seen so far. You know what I'm saying? Bianca Belair, she had to just take it on the chin when they did that ass backwards booking with her. And
let it play out, Chris.
Yeah, and when they gave Sasha Banks those weak title reigns, and
she's a 6-time champion, Chris.
Yeah, right. The one that made the least amount of sets was the one when they had her lose to Alexa Bliss.
That was like a week after SummerSlam, but
it just got more and more ridiculous. And it's like, oh, Sasha Banks is a good hand. She's a team player. She'll take this. And that's just kind of the attitude that a lot of white folks in power look at us like they think they could just do multiple things to us and we'll take it and not say anything about it.
The unwritten and unspoken feeling there, Chris, a lot of times is you should be happy to be here.
Yes, exactly.
You should be grateful for what we've given you in terms of this opportunity, in terms of this employment, and that thinking, that kind of undercurrent of, I'm not going to go as far as to say racism, Chris, but like racial cluelessness, I guess, is the best way I can kind of phrase it. Like that seeps into everything in terms of how you interact with these people, the booking of these people, how you go on TV and say, well, Sasha Banks and Naomi have disappointed the WWE universe. How could they do such a thing, Andrew Thompson? Never mind what our chairman is back here doing, but these two black women, how could they do this to the fans, man?
It's go ahead.
Chris.
Chris,
go ahead.
It's really a sad commentary on just us as a people that we're still having to deal with this kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like this woman, and we keep having these when keeping it real goes wrong moments. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look like ACH. I haven't seen that brother in years. You know what I'm saying? Because he reached the breaking point and he kind of,
ACH that was kind of the impetus of this show. Going off of what happened with ACH/Jordan Miles, and it's like 2 years later, like this stuff is still going on, man.
I'm trying to remember the last time, because I know ACH he did some shows. I think he did a show this year. I want to say, like, I'm trying to remember, like I probably got put up on Cage Match or something like that. But I know he does like stuff here and there. But like
he's not in AEW or WWE.
Yeah.
And he probably will never be at those places.
I know he was doing some stuff for MLW, and then he like stepped away for a little bit. He was like, I'm gonna take me a break, and now he came back, and then he was doing some stuff, and like he was real. No matter of fact, ACH is still wrestling, bro. He wrestled. He wrestles in AAW. He's the tag team champion with frontman Ja. See, They're the tag team champions at AEW. They doing real good over there. I don't watch like all of their shows, but like I'll see like certain stuff here and there, and they straight some stuff on Hot Spots too. But like ACH, he's doing like real well over there in AEW. He was their heavyweight champion a couple of times, I think, maybe twice, maybe once, but. Yeah, they treat him like real good over there. But yeah, him and John C, the tag champs over there, AEW, man.
Yeah, but my whole thing is he's not.
But Chris, you're talking about like the major.
Yeah, he's not. Right. He's not wrestling. He's not at where he should be. And you know, Leo Rush is another example. You know,
that's a whole nother episode right there, though.
We keep having these kind of moments, where we just reach our limit of nonsense. Some wrestlers can take it more than others. Booker T has kind of mastered, you know, getting around these kind of things. Mark Henry, people like that, and I don't fault them.
Booker T under contract to 2029.
But my problem with the guy like Booker T, and I know he pays attention to tweets online. I don't know, because I've tweeted about him a couple times and have gotten, you know,
Booker to roll up on you.
Yeah. So I know Booker T is out there paying attention.
Tell me he didn't just tweet that.
Yeah.
Hey, Nate, let us find out. We gotta add Booker T to the singles battle to Chris.
Booker T and Omos versus Chris.
No, well, but the thing with Omos though, Booker T
and MVP because Kristen got up in MVP's mentions before.
So I found myself in MVP's mentions before. But the thing with Booker T though is Booker T is my problem with Booker T and some of his tweets is like Booker T moves the way he moves, being a black wrestler, and I respect it. If you can tolerate, you know, a little disrespect in wrestling, and you feel that's the best way to move,
right?
I respect it. Mark Henry, I respect it also, but you can't start beating down on this next generation of talent because they don't move in the same way that you move.
Just because you had to get by that way doesn't mean that's right for everybody.
But I thought the whole thing was supposed to make it easier for the next generation. Like, but yeah, I'm pretty sure y'all ain't heard. Like, I'm pretty sure this wasn't just something that just popped up over the last 20 years. Like, I feel like this is just not even just wrestling, just life in general. Like, when people get upset at like the generation after them having things like a little bit quote unquote easier, and it's like, well, you know, we had to do it this way, and you know, we had to work this like, bro, it's the whole point of it is supposed to make it easier so they don't have to go through the same shit that y'all went through. Like,
I mean, like now that we here though, Chris, I ain't want to put Andrew on Front Street like this, but you know, like Andrew got it real easy, man. He could set up the camera, get the microphone. Back in our day, Chris, we had to get film. We had to cut film and get a tape recorder with a tape and flip the side over so we could do the interview. You kids got it easy, Andrew.
Yeah.
We 100% like the technology shit, but we are baby with this technology shit, bro.
Right? Yeah. I do think that, you know, it's just sound business to, if you have a grievance, to state it in an adult way. Don't make it a public thing.
Chris, you said that plenty of times, like in certain situations, like podcasts that we've had. I'm talking about like just topics that we've covered. You always been like big on like, don't turn this into us. Me versus the company.
Yeah, but what happens when the company is the one that turns? Leo Rush tweeting to Tony Khan apologizes is one thing, because Leo Rush made that public. What happens when Sasha Banks and Naomi, they didn't make that shit public? That was the company that did that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's like, and it kind of like, okay, I'm giving advice to black wrestlers, you know, don't make your beef public. But what happens when the fucking company is doing this shit? You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can't win for losing if you are black in the wrestling business. You just can't, man.
Well, and to the point about Booker, like, that's where you would think somebody like a Booker maybe could kind of step in as the mediator, right?
Yeah,
like I think.
Hey, Nate, Booker used to be going in on Big E on the
Yeah.
before he went to time.
And like I never get, like we talked about that, Andrew, and I never got that because I get like maybe you want to be the old head giving a young cat some advice, but there's a way to do it. And Booker always seems to be, and like Chris, we got a lot of respect for Booker, man. We grew up watching this dude, but the way he comes at these black athletes sometimes it's like, come on, dog. Like times have changed, and you are not helping these people by making this stuff, putting this stuff out there on your podcast, putting this stuff out there on Twitter.
Yeah, it's a podcast that he does with a couple white guys too. You know what I'm saying? But the thing with Booker T is weird though. It's like because when Sasha Banks and Naomi pulled what they pulled, he actually didn't like lean in and automatically side with WWE on that. He was, and that was when I got mentioned by Booker T. I was like, Romeo showed me the video and tagged Booker T in it, and I was like, I am surprised. Like this is like a very nuanced adult take by Booker T, and then Booker T responded with some kind of laughing emoji or whatever. But like I was like, he didn't double down on those sisters. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I think like now, and I'm speaking to John Pollock more than anybody else. John or Way, we need to make it happen. Booker T and Chris on the NWA podcast so they can squash the beef. We need to make that happen.
There is nothing I would want more than to see Booker T on that full screen. Him and Chris like on the same line talking to you. Hey, bro, that would be. But in all seriousness, like all jokes aside, I feel like that would be like a really interesting conversation outside of like the jokey joke type shit. You know what I'm saying?
And we love Booker T on this show too.
Yeah, bro, look at
the whole first 30 minutes of this show.
Right, we was talking about how they did Booker dirty.
Yeah,
look at the man, bro. And he funny as shit too. That's look at the man, bro.
Yeah, like
he just be on some goofy shit sometimes. That's okay.
Yeah,
you know,
like it's like like if you got a take that I think is just you're just trying to get streams or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or listens, I'm gonna have something to say about that. You know what I'm saying, especially when you're talking shit about Athena or whoever else, I just Big E, just the wrestlers that are there, you kind of like, I think as an elder statesman, you have to kind of be cognizant of that.
Right. And that's also like, now that I'm thinking about it, Chris, because I'm still going back to the analogy of me telling Andrew how back in the day we used to have to walk up the hill in the snow both ways to just do a podcast. Like, say Andrew was doing something and I'm like, maybe he shouldn't do that. I'm not going to put Andrew on blast on social media.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit Andrew up as a brother and as a friend and be like, hey, Andrew, I saw this. Maybe you should think about this in this way. And then he could choose to listen to that or not listen to that. But I'm not going to put him out there like that if I have respect for that man. And I feel like what Booker did with Big E in particular, it's kind of like you could have said that to this man in private because you know this man. Y'all work at the same spot.
Yeah. You could have done that with these people. And,
you ain't had to put that on your radio show.
Yeah,
with your white co-host, as Chris mentioned.
Yeah, it's just saying, because what happens with these guys?
I feel like now we're obligated to tell people to listen to Booker T Hall of Fame wherever podcasts are available.
Yeah. what happens with these guys is they start thinking that they can disrespect, because like a lot of times with white people, all they're looking for is one white cosigner, right? They're just looking for one black cosigner.
Yes, they're looking for the Jason Whitlock.
Yeah, they're looking for just one person to agree with. Yeah, exactly like a Jason Whitlock. You find the biggest black idiot you can find, and you wait for them to agree with you, and then so all the racist shit that's about to come out your mouth you're there like, oh, well, Candace Owens agrees with me, and Jason Whitlock agrees with me, and the Hodge twins agree with me.
If Herschel Walker said it, it must be true.
Herschel Walker agrees with me. You find the worst kind of black people you can find and say,
he's talking about Herschel Walker.
And these people agree with me.
That man brain like some sunny side eggs, man. Sunny side
Herschel.
Stop playing with
it's like you want to like I don't like when white folks talk about black folks in particular about how they speak and how they don't enunciate and can't read or write, or their sentences don't make sense. I'm not about that life. But when it comes to Herschel Walker, there's very little room to kind of get on a white person's case for calling that shit out. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
to be fair to Herschel, he probably got like CTE or something from all them hits in the NFL.
Yeah. Fights with all those girlfriends, all those baby mamas and shit. He's got, man. Like,
damn. Andrew, get what's the next topic, Andrew? I feel like we got to get up off of this.
Hey, bro, let me tell y'all something, bro. But this podcast, I'm telling you, bro, Chris is the man. Bro. That's all. But we a complete trio. Chris is hilarious, bro.
Herschel Walker is the one that's
hilarious.
So if we come from monkeys, then why do monkeys still exist? Like he says that shit like it's like he's saying something profound, and the old dumbass white guy who's talking to him, who's probably dumber than he is like, yeah, no one can explain that. Like you motherfuckers are challenging the theory of evolution.
I mean, to be fair though, Chris, evolution is a mystery.
Boo.
Damn, your own people hating on you, man. Damn, nephew.
Yeah.
Hey, you ready to get these last few stories in, man?
Yeah, let's get these last few stories in.
All right. So what I was about to be, this is sort of a quick one. I don't know how much we can really dive into it, but I mean I think it was noteworthy. Like we just had the conversation a little bit about Sasha Banks and Naomi. They doing everything, man, making all these different appearances. They was recently at the She-Hulk, I think the She-Hulk premiere. Both of these ladies are absolutely wonderful, by the way. Beautiful women right here, man. But I just wondered, they had ran into, I think a reporter had ran into them, or he caught up with them when they was when they were on their way to the premiere, and he was just like, hey, are you guys going back to WWE? Or you guys think you'll be back in WWE? Sasha Banks looked like she did not want to be bothered with that question at all. She sort of looked, she sort of gave him a look and yeah, nah, buddy. I'm not nah to the question, but nah, I'm not giving you an answer type thing.
Right.
And then you had Naomi. You could tell she's one of the nicest people, bro. She tried to joke with the dude and stuff like that, and sort of mess around with him and just give him some type of conversation to where he would not sort of continue on with the question or something like that. And it was I don't really know how much we can dive into that. I don't think it's any answers or any indication of whether they'll be back or not. But it was something that sort of made the rounds or social media recently.
So as any good journalist knows, sometimes the non-answer is good enough. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes there's a story in the non-answer. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to fuck with that question. You know what I'm saying? You can't really get mad at them, because I mean sometimes it's you gotta keep the aura of mystery around this thing. You know what I'm saying? And what cracks me up about this, I was on True Hill Heat yesterday morning, and we were talking about
shout out to SP3 and the crew.
Yeah. And I was like, this story is still unfolding, man. How often does this happen in wrestling? You know what I'm saying? Where
they haven't done any media either, Chris.
They haven't done any media. Those women have been chilling, walking the red carpet, looking as fine as they want to look, just doing their thing, man. And I ain't mad at them for it, man. You don't owe any of us an explanation until you feel like you're ready to do that, man.
We might not even get one.
Yeah. Especially if they're going back to WWE,
right?
They might not even get one. I was very I wanted both of them to go to AEW because AEW needs women, like they really need women. But those sisters are going to do what's best for them. And I think regardless, they're going to be taken care of. They're going to be
all right.
Yeah, they'll be okay.
I think for me, there's a couple things here. Like, first of all, like Sasha's smart, man. Sasha don't miss a beat, because not only are they out here at this She-Hulk red carpet, also shout out to Rich Fan and WH Park at MCU later. Check out their review of episode 1 of She-Hulk, available now at the Post Wrestling Cafe. Gotta hit that synergy.
Professional, man. Look at this guy. Professional, man.
But Sasha, like, she's already done Star Wars, right? Star Wars is Disney. Now she's at this She-Hulk premiere. She-Hulk is Marvel. Marvel is Disney. Sasha's already like planting through the college football spots through ABC, which is also Disney. Like, Sasha's like, you know what? Let me just plant some seeds here. They might not grow immediately, but I'm planting these seeds. The other thing I think, Andrew, is something Chris just hit on. If they are going back to the WWE, which is probably the most likely scenario, it does them no benefit to talk about it. Yeah, because the money is in the mystery. The money is in that big pop when they return, particularly if you're following the tournament. And I will say, getting back to our original topic of Triple H and the changes that we've seen, I think he's done a better job at presenting the women on the main roster. And particularly when you bring in Bayley and Dakota Kai and Io Shirai / Io Sky to the main roster, I think Dakota and Io are going to win the titles. And then we get that confrontation with with Naomi and Sasha returning. And you've also got the Bayley-Sasha story mixed in there. So, like, that could be a really great story to tell. And if that's the story that we're going to get, Chris, it doesn't do Naomi or Sasha any favors to tell us. They ain't got to tell us, because we're going to be paying anyway when they show back up.
Exactly. And it's good business for wrestlers, not just the black ones, but wrestlers in general. Let the company take the beef public. If you're beefing with them and they want to let their dirty laundry out for the atmosphere, let them do that. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to talk about your grievances, but if they're gonna, if I'm talking about the beef aspect of this, you know what I'm saying, where it's an ongoing continuation of a conversation, and you didn't say anything publicly to bash them, let them do that. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be the one to bring your shit out there. I think it works better this way. I think Athena got herself in a good situation by she talked about it, but she had something in line when she talked about it. Those TK AEW checks were on the horizon. You know what I'm saying? We just got what? She ain't ever living that down, man. I heard Stephanie Hypes and Chrissy they bring that 100 up off.
Hey, man, let me say this. Athena, I'm telling you, I hope that she has all the success in the world in AEW. I really do. But that 100 shit, that is going to be following her for the rest of her. The shit was so funny, bro. And then it doesn't help that you got like your colleagues actively joking with you about the shit. Like it helps in a funny way, but she would never be able to live that shit down.
Yo, bro. Athena, put that shit on a shirt. I will buy it. I will buy it, and I will wear it on post for the thousands of listeners and watchers who watch us.
Right after he wears his Omo shirt.
Yeah.
Yo, real quick before Andrew gets to the next news story, Chris. Like, I'm just throwing this out there, Andrew. If Triple H can make Omos a star, that man got to be Booker of the Year.
Hey, bro, you want to know what? I didn't know this, but Triple H was the one that actually brought Omos into WWE. Like he actively like sought him out, like because Omos had came to a trial, and Triple H was like he was like randomly like wondering like one day, because I heard Omos tell this story, and Triple H was just like, hey, whatever happened to that dude, like that Jordan, the tall dude who came to our trial that one year? Like this was like a year or two like after Omos had showed up.
Wow.
He was just like whatever happened to that dude? And then Triple H had like went to Matt Bloom, and it just so happened that Omos was like, I think he was at the PC or something like that. He was doing something there, and he had brought him in to meet Triple H for the first time in person, and they got to talking, and then Triple H was like, look, I know you hoop, and I know you got like options that you could take, but he was like, look, if you want to do that, go do that. But he was like, this door right here always be open for you whenever you want to come in and wrestle. He was like, but we understand that wrestling is not the only thing that you got on the table. So he was like, look, if you want to hoop, go hoop, but if you want to come here, like let's rock. let's get it. So like it was cool that like I remember Omar told that story. I didn't know that he got personally recruited by Triple. Like I didn't know that. So I was like, I mean, but it kind of makes sense considering like you see like them always like sort of looking for the next big breakout ad. They looking for the next Bianca Belair. They're looking for the next, whoever an athlete come out of, non-wrestling, related athlete. So yeah, that was a cool little thing. But yeah, I think the thing with Omos, bro, like I think the key thing is to not try to force him on the audience. Like don't try. I mean, well, don't try to force him to be like this main event player, bro. If it happens, let it happen. You know what I'm saying? If people naturally gravitate, if people naturally gravitate to Omos, then just roll with it. But don't try to, hey, this guy main eventer, like he's the guy.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that, because like it's gonna turn people off and it's gonna turn people against them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
People like Chris.
This is a good.
People like Chris.
This is a good point for me to. This is a good segue into, because like people like my Austin Theory rants on that cat. It's not. I don't hate Austin Theory. Like when people were like, or getting at me when he beat Dolph Ziggler on Monday. Oh, I bet you were mad that he didn't beat Dolph Ziggler. Like, fucking please, man. I don't hate Theory to the point where I think he should be losing to Dolph Ziggler. Let's understand that. You know what I'm saying? But I do think Theory needs to be losing to like Lashley and people like that. Lashley, AJ Styles, McIntyre, the upper, those guys. He should be beating fucking Dolph Ziggler, man. If he lost to Dolph Ziggler, I would have thought that would have been wrong on Triple H's part. Okay. It's just like Andrew was just saying, we need these people organically kind of push. Like almost, I don't think he's been put in a situation to for fans to see the best version of him on screen. I think he's just kind of been told to go out there and be the Giant and not really be great at the craft of wrestling. And the same thing with Anriel Howard on the basketball court. She was bad.
As Lash Legend, right?
Yeah, as Lash Legend. Yeah, as Lash Legend. She needs some tightening up, and I think that that's one thing that I do hope that the Triple H regime does, because I'm not somebody that wants people to lose their job. I'm not motherfuckers who are like, oh, Austin Theory should get fired or Omos should get fired. I think you should put them in the roles that they're best suited for. Austin Theory, there's a reason why people hate that guy, and it's not necessarily his fault. It's because he hasn't been presented in a way that makes you want to like and boo him outside of the hill. Like I don't think Austin Theory gets the right kind of heat. I think he gets the heat that like, I don't want to watch this guy on TV kind of heat.
And I think a lot of that is like to Andrew's point with the Austin Theory Vince stuff. it felt like they was kind of trying to push this dude down the audience's throat.
Right. Yeah. And you can't really do that. Sometimes it'll work later, but it doesn't work immediately. Like with the Rock,
Roman Reigns.
The Rock and Roman Reigns, you kind of have to. There's an art to doing that. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of my proposals with Theory, is like have him cash in that briefcase in a non-bitch way. Have him cash in the briefcase in an honorable way. Have a good match with Roman or whoever, lose the briefcase, and then work his way back up. So we're not in this position, because Austin Theory, he was built to fail. You know what I'm saying? Like the minute they put him in that Money in the Bank match at the last minute, that just told fans to hate this guy forever, you know? And that's not fair to Austin Theory. You know?
Yeah. So when they had hit me up, it was like, "Hey Andrew, what's your what story you rolling with this month, brother? What you got cooking up this month?" I was scrolling through some of the news I put up on posts, and like one of the things that like immediately caught my eye, this man, United States champion Bobby Lashley, has been this injury has been going on since January when I think it happened in a match with Brock. This man Bobby Lashley, 75% torn rotator cuff, torn labrum, 8 months, going on 9. The current United States champion was out there lifting Omos, working with him and doing all this stuff that he's been doing with a 75% torn rotator cuff and a torn labrum. And the reason I chose this is because it leads to another different conversation. And I know me and you had talked about it a little bit, I think on Twitter. Like and I know you had sort of got into it on the Around the Raw podcast that you did with John. Great episode. Go check that out. Shout out to my guy. But like the thing is with now that I mean he said this, I think, after Money in the Bank, but like I think it got more publicized as like the weeks get on. But like I'm real big on, like, I feel like Bobby Lashley should be in that world title picture. Like I really do. I feel like he is primed and ready. But like actively knowing that this dude is like torn rotator cuff, torn labrum, like I mean you could work through that, but I feel like at some point let me phrase it like this. I feel like it's less pressure to deal with that and continue to keep moving forward with the US belt opposed to the world championship. And like both of you guys said, they're doing way better with the presentation of both of those mid-card titles. But I feel like it's just less stress on one to, okay, you know what, I got both of these messed up injuries, but you know, I'm the US champion. He's doing fucking great with the US title. Like Lashley is getting some of the best. And the reason I say like he should be in the world title, like, do you hear the way these people reacting to this dude on a weekly basis? Bro, this isn't like some thing where it was like it happened like in this random city, but like everybody was like happy to see Lashley. Bro, this is like a week to week thing, and it's been like that since Hell in a Cell. It's been like this for like 2 months.
He should have, like we talked about it, Andrew. He should have been the one fighting Roman instead of Brock.
Yeah, right. Bro, he is getting some of like the best reaction that you could possibly want out of a talent. And the best thing about it is, bro, it's not forced. This wasn't like some contrived thing where they were like, hey, you need to root for Bobby Lashley. People just got behind this dude and they rocking with him right now. And the only reason I would be like so a part of me is like, damn, bro, I really wish he wasn't injured, because I wouldn't have a problem with him, you know, dropping the US title, you know, whatever, past the next person and then going into the world title. And like I feel like Lashley could be that guy leading your company, but like knowing that he's like actively dealing with this shit, I feel like it's like, because at some point, bro, you're gonna have to get that taken care of. Like we see it at Adam Cole, same thing, Dax Harwood, same thing, bro. Like they're all these dudes are working through it right now, but like, it's gonna come a time where you're gonna have to get that surgery or you're gonna have to get something done. And
he'll get it
for a minute. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's gonna get it done.
Something.
But he's doing such a great job right now as US champion, bro. Like it's like you like just let him keep rolling with it, bro, and like let him keep going. And then once it gets to a point where you feel like in the story sense where you can take the title off of him, then do that and let him go.
Right, elevate somebody else.
So whenever you guys get a chance, YouTube Bio Accelerator, that's the stem cell treatment center that they go to. Lashley goes to it all the time. Rey Mysterio, Kevin Nash,
yeah,
all these people go to it, and then you wonder why they've got this extra youth to them.
Yes.
They go to that place. Lashley cares a great deal about his body. I think Lashley was 46 years old, but I think you could get a good 5 years out of him.
Yeah, bro.
If the one thing I don't want Triple H doing with Lashley is treating him like a guy that needs to elevate another guy, because I think Lashley is the guy right now. Maybe in like a couple years he could be the guy that elevates the talent, but I think right now he needs to be treated like a mainstay on that roster, because he's better than a lot of the younger guys. You know what I'm saying? He's more consistent than a lot of those younger guys. And I remember sometimes history proves you right or wrong in arguments. I remember me and Nate, this has been going on for probably years at this point, maybe decades at this point. Marcus never really had a lot of nice things to say about Bobby Lashley.
Don't throw Marcus Vandenberg under the bus.
He just never did. But it's like I like we were kind of like, I think we both knew this guy could be something in WWE,
And I think and we can say the same thing about a Drew McIntyre, Chris, real quick. I feel like that time and Impact was what helped Lashley go to that next level. Because he was already doing big things when he was first with the WWE, but I feel like when he got back from Impact, the stupid stuff they did with his sisters aside, Lashley was just a much more fully rounded performer.
And the Drew McIntyre stuff too. Because history, I think is gonna prove me wrong on Drew McIntyre, because I wasn't like this fucking goofy ass dude with a sword and shit. I wasn't.
He's no big boss man, Andrew.
Yeah. And we were comparing the heel turns, and I did a Twitter poll of that, and that was like 50-50. So there were people that felt me on that, and people that felt Andrew on that. But I think it's all about the presentation. You know what I'm saying? And that's what makes that's the good thing about history is you could, because I remember even having another conversation with you on the old show, Nate, about when they made Undertaker a job to Lesnar at that WrestleMania and end the streak. You were one of the people who said that you thought it should have been Roman to end the streak. Yeah. And I was like, well, Lesnar needed it more at the time. But once you have a historical context to back you up, Roman Reigns should have been the one to beat the Undertaker at that, and I got no problem saying, hey, I was wrong about that. You know what I'm saying? And I actually kind of like when history proves me wrong on individuals, you know what I'm saying? And I think that Bobby Lashley has kind of if not silenced a lot of his critics, he made a lot of his critics do double takes and understand that this man is here to stay. It could have happened with Lashley a long time ago too, it's some of that racial bull crap that he didn't want to people were trying to blame Crystal for him leaving WWE the first time. The guy was mentally exhausted from whatever bullshit they were trying to subject him and Crystal to. I always look at things like that.
And I think real quick for me, Andrew, about Bobby, first of all, you got to tip your hat to the brother. To be this good with that type of injury. I thought, and I'm only half joking here, Andrew, I thought Cody Devontae Rhodes coming back and doing what he did with that pectoral injury was going to be the biggest win for the culture this year. But Bobby Lashley doing what he's doing, Andrew, at the age he is, and with the way he wrestles, right? Because he's not like a dude that just,
you can't even tell.
Right. Like the match he had on Raw with AJ, Pollock and I talked about it. Like, dude still looks like he's in his prime, even though, like, from an age standpoint, he's probably a few years past his prime. But the dude goes out there, looks like $1 million, is still giving you these high impact matches. And I think you make a great point, Andrew, because anybody else in this situation would probably take a month or two off. Bobby's like, I'm not even going to take time off, but I will take the U.S. title, right? Like, that's Bobby Lashley taking time off.
Hey, Nate, just to add to your point, and you could, like, follow up on this, too. Vince McMahon told him to go get surgery. Lashley no. Told, like, the dude who's, like, literally running his company said, hey, man, go get that taken care of. Bobby Lashley was like, he was like, nah, I'm going to go take me a couple of weeks off, and I'll be back. And he's been back ever since. Like, but when somebody is willing to go that length, bro, you gotta give them their flowers, bro. You got to. Like, Lashley is the man right now. And bro, if he didn't have that injury, man, dude, have him be one of those people to get at least one of them jumps above Roman, one of the people to get or get both or whatever, however they going about this in the future. And like, I'm really interested to see. And for real, like Chris was saying, like with his the bio stuff and all that stuff, he might not even go get the surgery for he might just ride it out until ride out to the end.
I'm surprised more wrestlers don't do that stuff. That like, cause go fly into Colombia, South America, and getting that stem cell treatment I've gotten some stem cell treatment in the past. I need to get more. But that it definitely does, what it's supposed to do. Cool. And Lashley, spends a ton of money on his body, and so does like Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio, like they these guys like care.
It's an investment.
Yeah, it's an investment in themselves. Like when Kobe Bryant was alive,
LeBron, Chris, LeBron, like $1 million on his this is money that goes into the biggest part of their brand, and that's themselves. So, and I think Lashley he cares, and Lashley he got a late start in WWE, and I think he's making the most of it. Yeah. And I'm glad Triple H hasn't defined him down yet. Yeah, but he's like legit being presented as like the face of that, like that belt. Like they're making him like the guy in that U.S. title. Seeing the like shoot strong wins so far. Like it's like Lashley he doing all right. And then when you look at the overall scope of his return run, shit was rough when that first started. Like that whole Lashley sisters and all that shit that they had. That Max Caster played one of his sisters, I think, which is hilarious. And like, but he like they turned the corner, man. And like I know we've said this, like, and I know a lot of people have said this. So this is like something like I'm like breaking some like groundbreaking information or shit like that. But like the impact that MVP has had on Lashley's overall presentation that is carried over to Lashley, like what he's doing now, like MVP deserves like a lot of credit. Like, I mean, I'm gonna say like 40% of the credit, because I mean Lashley still got to do what Lashley do, but like that whole presentation with the Hurt Business and all that stuff, bro. Like,
even going back to Impact when Lashley and Kenny King,
together, when they was all together back in Impact, like MVP plays such a big role, and all of that, and then it just helped Lashley overall in terms of his character.
And that was one of the things we brought up a couple months ago on this show. It was like, because what used to annoy me about that situation is everybody was given like saying, "Oh, MVP is the reason why Lashley," and that was never true. That it was a symbiotic relationship. They helped each other out. You know what I'm saying? And Lashley is very good at playing the muscle. Lashley just doesn't need to be doing goofy shit. Lashley was never the problem. You know what I'm saying? It
was the booking. It was the sisters. It was Lana. It was all of that.
Oh, hey, bro. They was doing brother dirty on TV for the
It's like
they had my man Bobby Lashley out here looking weak in the knees, bro. I was like, come on, brother. Stand up, brother. Come on, man.
Right.
But you talk about that symbiotic relationship, Chris. I feel like we got a symbiotic relationship here on the Nubian Wrestling Advocates. Andrew, any final stories before we wrap up this month and close the doors on another episode of the podcast?
That's pretty much all I got. I don't know if y'all had anything else y'all wanted to talk about, but for this month's podcast, that's about all I got. So
Ladies and
very,
gentlemen,
very much enjoyed these conversations, man. And
ladies and
always got
gentlemen, this
some hot
man,
news.
Andrew Thompson, it's his birthday, but he gave y'all a gift, the gift of news here on the Nubian Wrestling Advocates. So we are going to wrap up this week. Again, we thank everybody for checking this out, whether it's on the video form or the audio form. We will be back next month live. We weren't able to get that popping this month. Real life kind of got in the way, but we're gonna be back live next week to get all of your live comments and feedback, because we had a great time when we did that last month. But before we get out of here, Andrew Thompson, the birthday boy himself, even though you're older, he still got that Similac on his breath. Andrew, man, I got you an autograph.
That youngest in charge label wearing off, man. I'm like, on the clock.
I'll say you can get about 3 more years off of that before you got to change it. Like youngest in charge, he about 32. What you got for the people, Drew?
You ain't got to do me like that, man. But yeah, man, you can check out my interviews over at Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. I just put up an interview with Chris Hero, man, and we really enjoyed that conversation. Shout out to Chris. We ended up doing what's his name? He shouted me out on Twitter and stuff on my birthday, which is real cool, man. So and I probably go check out his what's his name's Twitch stream too, man. He doing some real cool stuff over there. And I had an interview up there with Kerry Morton from the NWA, the head of NWA 74. I think that's this weekend. This weekend, break some news on the podcast. And I'm posting an interview with Camille, the NWA World Women's Champion. And we talked about one of the main things he talked about how she felt about not having NWA Empower this year, coming off the success and all the hype that the event had last year. So she said some very interesting thoughts. She is that she definitely wanted the event to be back this year, and she dove into more of that. So I leave that for y'all to listen to or to read on the Post Wrestling site. And check out my interview. My written work over at postwrestling.com. Check all that good stuff out, and check out the Twitter at 80 Thompson __, and same thing on Instagram.
Good stuff, nephew. Again, y'all, that's one of the hardest working brothers in the business, the youngest in charge for now, Andrew Thompson. From everybody here at the show, and I'm sure everybody listening and watching, man. Happy birthday, brother. We glad you were part of this team.
Yeah, happy birthday,
man. Appreciate you, man. Thank y'all. Y'all. Appreciate the birthday message. Hey, Nate, you ain't got to keep killing me like that, though, bro. You ain't got to keep killing me with the.
See, look, I ain't want to say this on the show, but Andrew, check your mailbox, because you should be getting an autographed copy of Planet 51 from Jorge Blanco. It should be coming to you, brother. I know you love that movie. It's all love, nephew.
Hey, bro, you want to know something funny real quick before we finish up? One of my friends had sent me he was like, damn, bro, you 26 now? Yeah, send me like a video, like a Photoshop of my AARP card or shit. I was like, man, they're killing me, man. I'm like, well, I'm like 2 years older than dude, but I'm like, they gonna be killing me for the next 4 years, bro. I just know when I hit 30, bro, the group chat I'm in with my friend, I know they about to be giving me hell, bro.
You know what's crazy though, Chris? Even when Andrew turns 30, he still won't be old enough to be a main eventer in the WWE. Still gonna need about 10 more years for you can get to that top level, Andrew.
Yeah, for sure, man. But in all seriousness though, I appreciate the birthday message from everybody, man. That means a lot. So yeah, shout out to everybody that showed love, man, and looking forward to the next whatever amount of years. So yeah, thank you.
No doubt, absolutely, my brother. And Chris, it's not your birthday, but I'm sure when it is, you'll be here on the show talking with us about it and enjoying that cheese tray from a certain individual. Chris, what you got going on? What you got going on with WrestleNomics? How can people find you on social media? Let the good folks know.
All right, so you can find me on social media at KMEZ Does It. You just Google my name, Christopher. Ely, Christopher with a K. You'll find where I'm at. And we're just still trying to get some of you all to follow us on Kings of Sport. We're still in the early stages of kind of building up some big stuff. We're just kind of figuring out where we fit in this whole space, and it's been a fun journey. So KMEZ does it. Go to True Hill Heat. You can listen to me on that show yesterday. It was their 5-year anniversary.
Nice.
And just follow me on the socials, and I will accept.
Yeah, shout out to that good brother, Professor Chris, always bringing that spice, bringing that razzle dazzle to the proceedings. For me, as Chris mentioned, Kings of Sports. So episode 300, which was a really fun episode, featured a lot of cameos and a lot of conversations with some friends of the program from over the years. Episode 300 is up on the Patreon now, and it'll be out on the free feed sometime this week. So if you want to hear it now before anybody else, go to the Patreon, patreon.com/Kings of Sport. $5 gets you in the door. If you want to pay more, we won't stop you because inflation is real. But yes, as Chris mentioned, we are doing some new things with the Kings of Sport and moving this thing forward. And for all the postmarks out there, if you like what we do here with the NWA, check us out over at the Patreon. I'm sure you'll find something to like. We talk politics, wrestling, movies, sports, comics, a whole bunch of different things. So check that out if you'd like. For me personally, I'm on Twitter at N.W.A, MOZAIK, at Nate Mosaic. There you can find links to all the different shows I do. The main event over at Place to Be Nation just celebrated 200 episodes. You can check that out. I'm on the DCTV podcast networks, primarily talking about Black superheroes or BIPOC superheroes, I guess, because we do talk about the superheroes of color on the DCTV podcast networks, part of the Lituation Room, featuring Vanessa Shark, one of Chris's good friends in this space, Brittany Monet, who Chris has done a show with, and the infamous Clement Bryant, who we haven't talked with Clement yet here on Post, but I have a feeling when Black Adam comes out, I might have to do a special Rocky Maivia picture show running that back with some friends from other places talking about Dwayne Johnson in this movie. But yeah, at N.W.A, MOZAIK, at Nate Mosaic. Want to send a shout out to John Pollock and Wei Ting, the proprietors of Post Wrestling, for allowing us the platform and all the good things they do for this network. Shout out to Righteous Reg, the good brother Righteous Reg, for the theme song that y'all heard at the beginning of this program and that you will hear in about 65 seconds, for giving us the theme song. And shout out to everybody that's listening and watching. We appreciate y'all, and we're gonna keep the conversation going. Thank you for watching on this Sunday afternoon. I feel like, Chris, this is like the most informative Black news show on a Sunday afternoon since Tony Brown's Journal went off the air. And that's a very specific Black reference that maybe 20% of the audience gets, if that. But we had fun this week. We had some good conversations. Thank you to Andrew for always bringing us the news. And we'll do it again next month, where we will be back live for all of you good people. So for the youngest in charge, Andrew Thompson, for the Professor, Mo Dern and Chris, I am the Godfather, Nate Milton. And remember, the revolution may not be televised, but it damn sure will be podcasted. We'll see y'all in September.
Don't forget to vote.
Yo, I hit the wrong thing. Like full disclosure,
No,
you watching this.
No, you didn't. No,
I wanted to, Andrew, this is honestly true. I wanted to hit the outro as Chris told people, don't forget to vote, which is a great message. But then I guess the spirit of Cody Rhodes hit me, man, because Devontae is about voting and free will in America. So, we I thought we was going to make it a whole week without the Devontae drop, but we didn't.
Hey, man, real quick. Brandy wrestled a match at the Performance Center, man. Hey, y'all better watch out. Better watch out.
It's coming. It's coming.
Cody and Brandy. I'm predicting this right now. Y'all can hold me to it. Cody and Brandy versus the Miz and Maurice Royal Rumble 23.
Woo! I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Telling you. Hey, Cody, you stay out that world title picture by Bobby Lashley on the come up. I'm watching. I'm watching. You ain't gonna steal the spotlight.
Look. If anybody is going to help elevate another brother, it's going to be Cody Devontae Rhodes, Andrew.
Hey, man, just watch Bianca Belair take off and let me stop playing. Bianca already on the mountaintop, man. But yeah, shout out to Cody whenever he comes back.
Yes, and as
hey,
Chris said,
hey,
go vote.
They don't lie and say you played that on accident. That wasn't no
I
accident.
mean, it's that technology, Andrew. Sometimes it got a mind of its own. But yeah, we will see y'all next month. Appreciate y'all, and have a good one. I like we totally messed up the flow from the typical intro, but yeah, we'll see y'all next month.
Next month, y'all.
Yo, it's Righteous Reg. It's a case for the safe, keep a space for the Nubians. Unfiltered, off kilter, the professor, the godfather, post wrestling, the NWA, not keep guessing, The views and expressions, you know the rest, it's pod excellence, get the message. Advocates for Nubian wrestling, you're listening to the best again. Black wrestling in the ring we invested in. Nubian kings and queens we invested in. It's for the culture and we reppin' it. It's for the culture and we reppin' it.